Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Amanda Glincher, and I am the marketing manager here at AlterG, and we are the ones bringing you this webinar today. I am going to be speaking about using Instagram to build and engage your audience, and I am very excited to be here with you. I am looking forward to sharing some hints and ideas, and also to hearing your questions and seeing how we might be able to help you build your Instagram feeds and figure out some best practices. So please, throughout the presentation, feel free to ask any questions. There is a Q&A box in the webinar, as well as a chat box. You can ask your questions in either area, and I will get to all of those at the end of our presentation during Q&A. And if any of them are urgent or relevant to the slides, we can answer them as we go. Otherwise, stay tuned for your Q&A time. So why Instagram? I think that's the most important question for us to start with, right? Why do we want to be on Instagram? Why do we want to build a feed? And what are we going to get out of it? Well, you want to increase your audience and your visibility, right? Every business, our clinics, all of our companies, we're all looking to increase the awareness around our brand and make sure that people know we exist and that we can increase our customer and patient base. And Instagram is a fabulous place to be able to engage in relationships. So Instagram gives you an opportunity for you to create and participate in conversations around things that both interest the people that you're serving and specifically around your business and your clinic. This is a great opportunity for people to comment on the photos that you share and for you to follow up by really creating meaningful conversations. And finally, the reason why we're doing this, right, is to convert into business. We all know that businesses are on social media for the sake of increasing their customer base, and that's not a secret. So figure out what works for you and develop the interest, build those relationships, and we're doing it so we can really convert it into more patients and more customers. So how do you build your following? Well, you really want to make sure that people know you're out there. So start with your website. If you have a website, which I think all of you on the call today do, make sure that Instagram has a presence as well as your other social media channels on your site. So in your footer, you might want to make sure that you have an Instagram icon. You want icons for all of your channels. They'll link back to Instagram so that people can follow you there. If you're just starting your Instagram feed, or you have some beautiful images, you might want to go ahead and share those images on your homepage. Have a running slew of up-to-date images that maybe are at the bottom of the homepage or the bottom of your site. Maybe you want to have a main header image when you first are building your account that says, follow us on Instagram, and maybe one of the coolest images you've shared recently, something to really attract people to your feed and to get them to engage. Email. So email is by far one of the best and easiest ways to gain followers. Definitely, as you are building your Instagram account, especially in the beginning when you've got a decent set of followers and now you're just trying to make sure that your customer base is engaging, go ahead and shoot out an e-blast specifically for those people. Let them know that you're on Instagram. Click here to follow our feed and learn more. Share your posts, all of that. Do an e-blast specifically for that. But in general, if you have a weekly or a monthly newsletter, make sure that all of your social icons, Instagram included, are included in that newsletter so that people who are already reading your content and already engaging with your business can click on your Instagram icon and follow you. And then finally, within that email realm, your signature, your email signature is an amazing asset. People look at it every day. You are probably sending dozens of emails, if not hundreds of emails on a regular basis, and your signature appears in every one of those. So create a signature that really engages people. If you have an upcoming open house or anything else, you would probably include that in your signature. So make sure that all of your social icons are included in the signature as well. You want people to be able to click on that Instagram icon and go right to your account. Again, if you are looking to increase your followers right now, which I think almost everyone is, and you don't have something else big going on, go ahead and put some verbiage behind that too. Click on, follow us on Instagram today to learn about our latest promotions, or follow us on Instagram today to see some great images, come up with a line that works for you and is in line with your brand, and add it to your email signature. You've got friends, right? And I'm not talking about the friends that you have dinner with. I'm talking about the friends that are on your social channels. So if you're on any other social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, ask those people to follow you on Instagram. Especially your Facebook followers, if they are already following you on Facebook and they find your content to be valuable because they're still following you, it's very easy to convert them into Instagram followers. Facebook owns Instagram, and especially within the app console on your phone, it's very easy to make them one and the same and allow people to follow you on Instagram. Encourage that. It's, they're people who already are interested in you, and having that relationship on Instagram will only add value. And then finally, at your office, people are waiting in your lobby areas. They're waiting for their appointments, they're paying their bills, whatever it is they're doing. Find new ways of engaging them. So maybe have a tablet that shows your Instagram feed so people can sort through it and see what your latest images are, things that they really want to see and that will excite them and will encourage them to follow your Instagram account. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but if you're running any contests or promotions on Instagram, definitely promote it in your office. It's a great way to get people who are already physically there to follow you on Instagram, to participate in these things, and then to promote it to their friends and family. Okay, so we're gonna go through a little bit of best practices on creating an ideal Instagram timeline. For those of you that already have timelines, this information will be useful in looking at it and seeing what can add to your feed. And for those of you who don't, keep these in mind as you're building your feed, because it will really help with brand consistency and optimizing your Instagram followers. So first, own your brand. It's so important that this consistency between your social media channels and who you are as a PT clinic, as a company, whatever service you're providing, you want to make sure that you are consistent in how people feel about you and how you talk about yourself. So first, use a name, right? Use a name that people recognize. So PT Pub Night, they do not have a huge account. They don't have a ton of posts or followers, but they're a great example of owning their brand and having consistency. So their Instagram name is the same as their company name, right? It's PT Pub Night. Their logo is the same as everywhere else. This is really essential. Make sure that your logo, that the image that you are using for your profile on Instagram is your company logo. It's really important that this isn't a picture of the owner of the clinic or one of your PTs, that it's not a really amazing customer or patient photo. You want this to be a photo of your logo. You want this to be a high resolution logo. If you are having trouble with it or you're not sure how to make it work quite right for that round image, feel free to reach out to me, but definitely you want to make sure that this is consistent and in line with your brand. The look and feel and the language and attitude of your bio and your posts is huge. You want to make sure that the images that you are posting, the language that you are using are in line with who you are as a company. So if you are a clinic that focuses mostly on older adults and people recovering from strokes and other neuro incidents, you really want to make sure that you're not posting only images of athletes and hashtags that revolve around that, right? And on the flip side, if your clientele are mostly young athletes, posting inspirational photos of older adults probably doesn't fit within. If you use very casual language, generally don't use formal language on Instagram. And again, flip that. Instagram is a pretty casual location, and so you want to make sure that the language you're using is as casual as possible within your brand. But don't go too casual. If it's too relaxed for your brand, know it, and feel free to use the language that's consistent for what you need to make it work. When to post. So this is actually a very controversial thing, but I think it's a good starting place because everyone asks as they are developing their feed, well, when should I post? When am I going to get the most visibility? So I would say use this as a guideline. And again, if you're not automating your posts, you probably don't want to be up at 2 a.m. on a Saturday posting pictures of patients. But some of these times are a little bit more reasonable, right? The 5 p.m. on Wednesday, that's more doable perhaps. And I would say use this as a guideline, but see what works for your community and your clientele, right? Go ahead and post, see when people are engaging, track your progress, and do that with all of this, right? With everything you do, you really want to analyze the data and see, well, if I post at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, am I getting more likes? Am I getting more comments? Are people engaging more than when I post at 10 a.m. on Friday, right? So figure that out, look at it. But if you do need a place to start, these are today's current recommendations from the Instagram community of what's working best. So check it out and just do what works best for you. Hashtags. So hashtags are an essential piece of Instagram. If you are looking at Erin McClure-One's image here on the right, and it's a really awesome image. She did a great job of getting a photo of herself in the anti-gravity treadmill. You'll see that she has her comment, this is how wicked running feels, etc. And then she follows it up with a slew of hashtags. And those hashtags give people an opportunity to search. So the purpose of hashtags within social media channels are that they are linkable, right? They're clickable, so you can click on them and you can see any other post that uses that hashtag. Like, these posts have to be on profiles that either you follow or are public profiles, but you will get to see all the other posts where that hashtag is used. You can also search by hashtags. So when you're searching within Instagram, and this is true for Facebook and Twitter as well, you can put hashtag return to sport and see any posts that have been done that are public posts with that same hashtag. So why would you use a hashtag? Well, a hashtag is a really great way to bring people together around a common interest or topic. And it's a great way to bring people around your business without talking about your business specifically. So for instance, if you're looking at Erin's post, Saucony Canada was mentioned, right? That's their handle, the @ So Saucony Canada uses that handle, and that's their actual company. So we all have those, right? We have @AlterG Inc., and each of you probably has one as well. However, we don't always want people to have to mention us, and you can't search by mentions in the same way. So at AlterG, as an example, we often will use the hashtag #DefyGravity. It really talks about what the anti-gravity treadmill does. It's within our brand. It's a cool hashtag. It gets people excited. And it's not used by anyone except for us for the most part. And by us, I mean people that use the anti-gravity treadmill. So I find this really interesting. I think that, you have to figure out what works for you, but you want to find a hashtag. You want to be specific with your hashtags, right? So don't do hashtag blue. That's not useful. But if you have, hashtag blue skies don't lie, or something else that really makes sense, right? For whatever the picture is, right? Maybe you're outside going for a walk in a beautiful blue day. Or maybe you want to make sure that your audience is gathering around something that's coming up. So you do hashtag ultra open house, and you've got some, if the name of your clinic was ultra, that would make sense. Know your audience though. So use hashtags again that are relatable to the audience that you are serving and the audience that you want to serve. Be relevant, be decisive. So don't use 100 hashtags in a post. You want to be certain that your hashtags, for the most part, don't take up more space than the message that you are sharing. So for instance, in Erin's post, you'll see that it's about the same amount of space between the language that she is sharing and then the hashtags that she uses. And that's about right. If you have a few less hashtags, that's fine too. But just make sure that you're not doing posts with all hashtags all the time. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you research hashtags that you use. So especially when you are creating a new hashtag or using a hashtag that perhaps, and anyone could create a hashtag, all you have to do is put that pound number sign in front of a word or a phrase. You want to make sure that it hasn't been used for a competitor to promote their business, and B, couldn't be considered offensive by your audience. So search the hashtag and see how other people are using it and if it has been used in the past. And finally, you want to make sure to proof your posts. This goes for any language in your post, but especially for hashtags. If you did something like life of a runner, the way that Erin has done here, and you spelled runner with only one N, people wouldn't find your posts when they search the common hashtag life of a runner with two N's. So proof, and just make sure that you know your audience and you're being specific and have fun with it, because hashtags are a fabulous way of getting messages out and having it making it easy for people to search for you. So this is a great example of a post. I am a huge fan of the Roush PT Instagram account and just wanted to share this as an example of kind of everything done right. This is a properly sized image. It's candid, it's casually taken. It's got a lot of color and life in it, right? It evokes emotion. It looks like they've just finished something fun. They've got a nice amount of hashtags and one handle and even a couple of little emojis thrown into a paragraph of language. And they're just finding a way to kind of use this post to talk about what they do. The Roush PT and the logo that they're using, like their name, the logo, it's all a very concise, well put together brand. So a great example of how to create an Instagram post if you want an example of some cool ones, and we'll look at a few more as we're going along. So variety is the spice of life, right? You want to make sure that you're keeping your audience engaged and interested. So mix it up. Make sure that all of your posts don't look the same. We, over at AlterG, we're really lucky that people share a ton of posts on Instagram of themselves running in the AlterG, walking in the AlterG, rehabbing and training. And we love that, right? But if we were to share every single one of those posts in concession or in a line, and we would see that it doesn't make, like, it wouldn't make our feed look attractive, because we would just have image after image after image of people training in the machine, and we wouldn't have any pictures except for the machine. So what we do is we really try to mix it up. If you look at this, this is actually a screenshot of one of our recent areas of our feed. And you'll see that we do have some pictures, right? We have somebody in the machine, we have somebody out of the machine. We've got a runner who is just completing a race. And you can really see and feel the emotion within her. And she talks in her post about how she was training with the anti-gravity treadmill. We have inspiration. We have people in their PT. We have people with their physical therapists. So all of these types of posts are a variety of ways that you can engage your audience and not keep them bored, but still stay within brand. If you're not seeing a lot of engagement on your feed, another thing you might want to do is ask your audience, right? So you can ask them on Instagram. You can create a post with an image that has language and says, what do you want to see? But you can also ask your friends and family, ask your employees, ask your patients, ask the family around the dinner table, say, like, what do you think would be exciting for our customers, for our feed? What would people want to see? And gather ideas, because oftentimes people won't tell you unless they're asked. And once they're asked, a slew of information will come out. Repost. So we do a lot of reposting. We love to promote our clinics and our customers. And it's also a great way to build partnerships. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But in the meantime, feel free to repost people's information, and you can always repost anything that AlterG shares, just to add a little bit of variety and spice to your feed. The final thing about your feed, which again, your feed is all of your images together. So if you were to look at your Instagram account as just your account without the people you're following, you'll see your feed. You want to make sure that if you choose to use Instagram filters, and that's optional, that you are consistent. So we typically do not use filters. A filter is basically an overlay on an image that Instagram will allow you to do that changes like the tone of the image, the color, all of that. And to make it black and white, there are a lot of options, but you want to make sure that if you are choosing to use filters, that you do remain consistent, so that when people look at your feed completely, it kind of has an aesthetically pleasing, consistent look about it. Okay, so content, right? This is this actually image on the right is an image that Holt PT shared earlier in the month. It was right before Thanksgiving, and it was great. Actually, it's an image that I love because it's a fun ad. It kind of shows to people who are clearly fed up with their family during the holidays. But it talks about, there's a code for that, right? So it's language that makes sense in the PT world. And it also gave them an opportunity to talk about being closed for Thanksgiving, but in a tongue-in-cheek, engaging way. And it's just a fun post. So I guess this goes back to keeping things fresh and unique, right? You want to entertain your audience. You want to make sure that you're providing content that is engaging, that opens up space for conversations, that entices people to follow you. So if someone is seeing any of your posts for the first time, you want them to say, wow, I really want to follow that business, that person on Instagram. So I guess the point would be to make sure that you're using at least some unique content, that the content you're sharing is either entertaining or engaging, ideally both. Again, if it's out of line with who you are in your messaging, don't feel the need to step beyond the lines of comfort for you, but stay entertaining within what works for you as a company. Share videos if you're able to, short clips on Instagram. People watch them like crazy. It's a great way to kind of showcase things in motion. But be sure that the quality of your videos and your photos are high quality, that they're not blurry, that people, you can see the faces, that you can read the language, that it's just good quality imagery. And also make sure that the content you're sharing is something that you think someone else would want to share. Ask yourself that question before you post. Say, hey, is this something that if someone saw it, they'd be excited to share with their feed? You want to make sure that the content you are sharing is exciting enough and enticing enough that your followers will want to like it, engage with it, and share with their followers. So this actually is one of my favorite examples, and I love this particular image by Laura Segan, but I also love this concept, and it's one of my favorite things to share around the anti-gravity treadmill and AlterG, even more so than people in the machine. When they put on these neoprene shorts and people take Instagram photos of themselves pretending to be a ballerina or talking about it as a tutu, I think it's a great way to engage. You'll see that the hashtags that she used are very unique and they're entertaining, right? Dress for success. That's normally something that you might use if you were putting on a business suit and going to an interview, or you had a big client meeting, not necessarily when you were getting your workout or physical therapy on. But she uses it here, and it's just a great play on words. It's a great image. And again, a good example of ways to be engaging and entertaining and staying within brand. So building a following, I think one of the things that we often get stuck on is, well, who's going to follow me, right? We talk a lot about making sure that people are interested and that we have the right followers. I know a lot of you are dealing with very limited geographic regions, and that can be challenging when you're working on social media, on the internet in general, trying to get the word out about your company, but you only want clients or customers, patients within a 10 or 15 mile radius, right? So I would say this is my rule of thumb. Your patients and customers for sure. So anyone that you are working with, ask them to follow you. Your employees, unless you have a social media plan or policy that says otherwise, or that you've got something else going on in the office, I would ask your employees to follow you. They don't have to, but I would definitely encourage it as long as that conversation is comfortable. Your colleagues, so other physical therapists, other AlterG owners, other people in the area who might share valuable content or that you might be able to learn something from, or vice versa, would be great to share. Specifically, I would say if you are a physical therapy owner and there are physical therapists elsewhere in the country that are definitely not competitors, but that share really valuable and exciting content, follow them, because you might get ideas from what they're doing. You'll increase your following base because they'll follow you back. That's kind of the rule of thumb. And there's nothing to lose, right? They're not going to take business from you. They're not next door. Other businesses. So this is one of my favorite ones. Follow businesses in your community that complement what it is that you do. So if you are a physical therapist, you own a clinic in Milwaukee, and there are, there's a amazing shoe store that, a lot of your patients are going to, the high school, all of the, maybe some of the doctors that do referrals, all of these things in your area, and I'm sure you guys can think of a billion more that are in line with what you do. Go ahead and follow them and ask them to follow you, because having those relationships is so valuable. And then finally, celebrities. And this doesn't have to be, the big, huge celebrities that are known worldwide, because the reality of it is it's valuable to have their endorsement, but that's probably going to cost you something. And they're spreading the message to a much broader audience than what you need. But find local, so you can definitely follow them. There's no reason not to, especially if they're using, for instance, at AlterG, we have a lot of amazing athletes who have used the anti-gravity treadmill, and they will post about it on Instagram. And we absolutely love being able to share that content and gain the equity of having, both for us and for our customers, of having major athletes using our machine and talking about it. That's huge. But if you're working in a smaller community, you can share those as well, but also share those stories and try to follow your local celebrities and your local athletes and the people who are making a difference in your town. So if you have a college football player in your community who used the anti-gravity treadmill or another piece of technology in your clinic to rehab, follow him, follow her. And there's all of those things. If there are singers, like if there are performers who perform at a lot of local races, go ahead and follow them. They're only going to share content that could be valuable. And the worst case scenario is you gain another follower from that relationship. So other ways, once you have kind of saturated your community and found all the people, how do you continue to build a following beyond those individuals? So contests, we talked about contests a little bit earlier on, and I want to go back to that. It's really an easy way of getting people to post for your company and kind of do a lot of promotion for you while giving you a chance for follow-up. So what I mean is, let's say you are a clinic who wants people to take pictures of their favorite physical therapy exercise, right? Like take a picture of your favorite at-home physical therapy prescribed exercise, right? Maybe people will actually do their at-home workouts then. And you say, go ahead and use the hashtag PT at home. Definitely double check that hashtag. I just pulled it. Don't know if it's actually usable. And then you say, everyone who posts that and mentions our clinic over the next 15 days will be entered into a chance to win a free session and a roll of rock tape, or whatever it is that you feel like you can give away, right? And people do it, right? So people will share images of themselves doing what you've asked them to do and mentioning you and using your hashtag. And all of a sudden, you just gained 3 great things from this. You gained a brand new audience of people who are posting, and you may not have had that audience before because we don't know where they heard about you. And you gained their followers who are seeing this. You've gained all of these images that you can now share around the work that you do. And finally, you've created a chance for follow-up. So you can now follow up with the winner or winners of the contest to give them their prize, but you can also follow up with the other people who engaged and find out what they love about physical therapy and what they don't, and how you can help them in other ways, and really open up new conversations. And so creating a contest gives you so many opportunities just for bigger conversations and a larger customer base. Posts and reposts. So this is one of my all-time favorite things. People talk all the time about wanting other companies and brands to share their images. So here's the deal. If I were to go to you and be like, I'd really love you to give me a reference, you would probably be like, I don't know you. Why would I do that? But if I wrote a rave review about your company and your product, you might be a little bit more likely to hear me out. So same thing goes with Instagram. If there is, let's say again, you're a physical therapy clinic and there's a local shoe store that specializes in every kind of sneaker you can imagine for any type of population, and they will analyze your gait and provide you with the best sneaker ever. And people love them. They have a great Instagram following. The community loves them. Their Yelp reviews are off the charts, right? Everybody's talking about them. You want them to share one of your posts because you want their followers to hear about you. So the best way to go about doing this is to find one of their posts on Instagram that is in line with your brand, right? That you are comfortable sharing with your followers, and repost that post on your timeline. So share their post, make sure to mention them, make sure to use whatever hashtags they're using, like completely share the post, and then let it sit for about a week, right? Let it gather likes, make sure that there's messages coming in, you're responding to those messages, and then reach out to the owner of that business or the social media manager for that business and say, hey, John, it was really great meeting you at blah, blah, blah last week. I wanted to let you know that I shared your post on XYZ and my followers are really enjoying it. I wonder if you might be willing to share this post that I have and to your followers as well. And make it easier for them. So like give them the link to the post, make sure you share the image and the language with them. And because you have now given them something, right, by broadening their message and sharing their message out into the world of your followers, they're going to be that much more likely to say yes to your request. And that's fabulous. I would do that again and again. Look at the companies near you, the people near you that you can partner with and make that work. And then finally, partnering, right? So this is one, again, this kind of goes back to your local celebrities. Let's say you have a local college athlete who has been coming in for PT sessions. And this is an athlete that's really well known at the college, has a ton, a huge social network, both online social on Instagram, but also offline, right? They're well respected in the community. They're doing a lot of work in the community. Their fellow athletes respect them, and there's, all the local newspapers printing about them all the time. Ask them if they might be willing to make a trade with you. Because again, we want to do things that are not just going to help promote us and help build our equity, but that are also within our budget. Right? Like we have to be a little bit more budget friendly. If we could all afford to spend millions of dollars in advertising, we wouldn't be having this conversation about using Instagram for promotion. So partner with these people. Ask this college athlete if maybe they might be willing to do an interview with you and post it on Instagram. If they would be willing to do this, actually, it would, like, the easiest thing, right, is they take a picture of themselves in your clinic doing a piece of their physical therapy, and they share it on their Instagram account with their followers. They tag you, and in exchange for that, maybe you give them something that they need. So whether that's an upcoming session or some type of equipment, whatever it is that you can exchange, without paying them, because that's probably not in the budget, and create that partnership and really make sure that it's something that's valuable to both of you and that works. And having the equity of somebody else in the community saying this place is fabulous, and saying it on Instagram to a community that you might not be reaching otherwise is huge. So I have just thrown a ton of information out at you, and there's a lot more to learn about Instagram and about all the different ways of optimizing, but I think that this is a good start. I would love to answer any questions that you guys might have. If you have any, again, you can go ahead and type them in the Q&A box, or you can add them to the chat box, and I will answer them as they come in, as many as I possibly can this morning. And I guess let's just get started with the ones that have come in so far. So how do we know if it is all right to share someone else's post? This is a great question. We all want to be sure to cover our bases and protect our businesses as we build our brands. But the most important thing here is to be considerate. Sharing others' users' Instagram posts on Instagram is completely legal, and it's even encouraged. It helps them spread the word about their businesses or their interests. The one caveat is that you always want to be sure to give credit where credit is due. When you share other people's posts, be sure to tag them in the post. And also remember that this is a great opportunity to ask them to share one of your posts. So this goes back to you know, posting and reposting, and just making sure that you're having that conversation. And again, it's totally legit to share someone else's posts, but be respectful and make sure that you tag them and give them credit for that original content. How many followers do I need to be successful? Okay, so this is a really tough one. The question of followers comes up over and over again. Many of you are serving very select geographical areas, as we discussed, and you want to get noticed specifically by the people in your area. This limits the number of followers that you might have that are able to visit your clinic and also use your services. But with that said, the number of followers you have is your social proof. Your social proof really refers to the fact that it proves that others like and follow you, and they find your content and your business to be valuable. So when somebody looks at one of your social accounts, they'll look at it and they'll say, oh, this person has 2,000 followers, that's great. Other people really respect them. Or they might look at it and go, oh, they've got 20 followers, no one's following them, what's going on? So you want to make sure that you kind of promote your Instagram account beyond your area, at least in the beginning, to increase the number of initial followers that you have. And then once you have a great base, it'll be easier to get more, because people will look at your account and they'll say, oh, you know, they have this equity, people like them, and they'll be more likely to follow you as well. I would say there's not really a magical number for, you know, it depends on the size of your business and where you're at, but I would aim for 1,000 followers, you know, in the first 6 months or so, and just build from there. You know, you can set goals as you go. And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just about, you know, building the followers that are going to be meaningful to you and to your clinic. Do I need to hire someone to take photos and videos that look professional? This is great. So no, not at all. Instagram is definitely more focused on visuals than other social media platforms are. But the beauty of it is that it's all user-generated content, right? So this means that Instagram followers expect candid, real images. You definitely want to make sure the images you share are optimally sized and blur-free, as we talked about. But by no means do you need to invest in professional photography to build a great feed. I think those are all of the questions that I'm seeing coming in now. If anyone has anything else, I'm happy to answer it. I'm also available by phone or email. You can always follow us on Instagram. Again, feel free to share and repost any of AlterG's posts on any of our social feeds. And I really appreciate all of you joining us today.